Stop. Take a breath. Right now, somewhere in your life, something is not moving. You've prayed. You've waited. You've been positive, and nothing. I want you to ask yourself a different question today. Not, when will it come? But, what is being built? Because the answer to that question changes everything. Listen to me closely, because if you clicked on this video, it is not an accident, and you did not just end up here by chance. There is no such thing as chance in the spiritual universe. You are here because your soul guided you here, and because somewhere deep inside you are tired. I do not mean the physical kind of tired that a nap or a vacation can fix. I mean the soul tired. The deep and heavy exhaustion that comes when you have been patient and positive and faithful, and yet looking at your life nothing seems to be moving. You have waited politely, and you have waited bravely, and you have waited silently while watching others receive the very things you have been praying for. You are now standing at a crossroads in your mind, where you are asking yourself if your faith was misplaced, or if perhaps you have been forgotten by the creative power that governs this universe. Let me say this right away, and say it with absolute certainty. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling this way, and you are not broken, and you are not being punished. If waiting were easy, it would not build character, and it would just build boredom. But you are not bored. You are stretched. The reason you feel this heaviness is that you are judging your life by appearances, and appearances are the most deceptive things in the world. We live in a society that is obsessed with the visual and the tangible, and if we cannot see it, and if we cannot touch it, and if we cannot post a picture of it, we assume it does not exist. But this is the great illusion of delay. You look at your bank account, and the number is the same, so you say nothing is happening. You look at your relationship status, and the room is empty, so you say nothing is happening. You look at your career, and the phone is silent, so you say nothing is happening. You are operating under the false belief that movement only counts when it is visible. But I am here to tell you that, in the spiritual realm, movement is most powerful when it is invisible. Think about the laws of nature, which are simply reflections of spiritual laws. When you plant a seed into the dark, damp soil, you do not see it for weeks. If you were to judge by appearances, you would say the seed is dead, and the soil is barren, and the effort was a waste. But underneath the surface, there is a violent and magnificent transformation taking place. The hard shell of the seed is cracking open, and the roots are pushing down deep into the earth to find water and stability. If the seed did not do this invisible work first, it could never sustain the weight of the tree that is to come. You are in the seed phase. You are in the root phase. And just because you cannot see the fruit yet, does not mean the tree is not growing. The greatest trick the human ego plays on us is to convince us that silence means absence. The ego screams for attention and validation and results right now, but the spirit works in the silence. The spirit works in the gap between your prayer and the answer. This gap is not empty space. It is a construction zone. What you call a delay is actually a time of intense activity that is happening just beyond the spectrum of your physical sight. The universe is rearranging circumstances and influencing people and aligning opportunities and moving obstacles out of your path before you even reach them. If you could see behind the curtain of your life right now, you would not be depressed, you would be amazed. You would see how many times you were protected from a premature success that would have crushed you. You would see how many times a door was closed because there was a trap behind it. You would see that the very delay you are complaining about is actually a divine protection set up to ensure that when your blessing arrives, it arrives safely and it stays permanently. The illusion of delay is simply your inability to see the rearrangement of the furniture in the house of your future. We must also understand that waiting is not a passive state. This is where most people lose their power. They think waiting means sitting by the window and doing nothing until the package arrives. But spiritual waiting is an active stance. It is a vibration, it is a high frequency of expectation that you must hold even when the environment around you contradicts it. Waiting is the fire that burns away the dross of your doubt. It is the gymnasium where your spiritual muscles are torn and rebuilt stronger. When you say you are tired of waiting, what you are really saying is that you are tired of holding the vision without the support of external evidence. But that is exactly the assignment. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Notice that definition. Faith itself is the evidence. You are looking for evidence in the world, but the evidence is in your heart. The evidence is that persistent desire that will not leave you alone. The fact that you still want it, and the fact that you still dream about it, is the proof that it is pushing its way towards you. If it were not yours, the desire would have faded long ago. The persistence of the desire is the announcement of the arrival. Let us go deeper into this feeling of being stuck. You feel stuck because you are in the hallway. You have left the old room of your past, and you have shut the door behind you. You know you cannot go back to who you used to be, and you cannot go back to the smallness that you have outgrown. But the door to the new room has not yet opened. So you are standing in the hallway, and it is dark, and it is narrow, and there is nowhere to sit down. This hallway is the transition point. It feels like a trap, but it is actually a bridge. The hallway is necessary because the vibration of the old room and the vibration of the new room are different. You cannot walk strictly from one to the other without a period of adjustment. In this hallway, you are being stripped of the old identity that is not compatible with your new future. You are shedding the skin of the victim. You are shedding the skin of the beggar. You are shedding the skin of the person who needed validation. This shedding process is uncomfortable, and it leaves you feeling raw and exposed and tired. But do not mistake the discomfort of growth for the pain of failure. You are not failing. You are molting. You are becoming the person who is capable of handling the magnitude of what you have asked for. The reason the illusion of delay is so convincing is that our time and divine time are two different clocks. We run on chronological time, which is linear and anxious and obsessed with deadlines. The universe runs on Kairos time, which is the opportune moment or the perfect season. We look at the calendar and say, I am late, but the universe looks at your energy and says, not yet. We want the harvest before the summer is over, but if you harvest too early, the fruit is bitter, and if you harvest too late, the fruit is rotten. The universe knows the exact moment of ripeness. There is a divine orchestration that requires thousands of moving parts to click into place at the precise second. You are only aware of one part, which is your own desire. You are not aware of the other people involved, and you are not aware of the circumstances that need to mature, and you are not aware of the lessons you still need to master. If you force a birth before the baby is ready, you endanger the life of the child. If you force a manifestation before the timing is right, you endanger the longevity of the dream. The delay is not a denial of the dream, it is the gestation period of the dream. Often, the feeling that nothing is happening is strongest right before the breakthrough. This is a spiritual law that acts like the physics of a rubber band. When you pull a rubber band back, it creates tension. The further you pull it back, the more tension there is, and the more it feels like it is going to snap. But that tension is potential energy. You cannot launch the rubber band forward without pulling it backward first. You are in the pull-back phase right now. The tension you feel is not a sign that things are going wrong, it is a sign that you are gathering momentum. The universe is pulling you back from the mediocre to prepare you to launch into the extraordinary. The darkness is always thickest right before the dawn breaks. The silence is always loudest right before the symphony begins. If you give up now because of the tension, you will miss the launch. You have to understand that the breakdown often precedes the breakthrough. When things seem to be falling apart, they are actually falling together. The old structures must collapse to make room for the new architecture. When you see chaos, do not panic. Chaos is the raw material of creation. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters when the earth was without form and void. Your life may feel without form and void right now, but that is the perfect condition for a new creation. So when you wake up and your soul is tired and your mind is listing all the reasons why it will never happen, you must recognize this for what it is. It is a mirage. It is a smoke screen designed to test your resolve. The illusion of delay is a gatekeeper. It stands at the entrance of your new life and asks you a simple question. It asks, do you believe in what you see, or do you believe in what you know? If you believe in what you see, You will turn back and settle for a life that is smaller than your destiny. But if you believe in what you know, you will walk through the smoke and you will realize it has no substance. You will realize that the delay was only in your perception. The supply was always there, rushing towards you, waiting for you to match its frequency. You are not waiting for the thing to appear. The thing is waiting for you to stop wavering. It is waiting for you to stop looking at the clock. It is waiting for you to realize that time is an illusion and that in the mind of the infinite, everything is already done. The contract is signed. The healing is complete. The abundance is allocated. The person is chosen. It is finished. The only thing left to do is for you to walk through the illusion of time with the steady confidence of someone who knows the end of the story. You are not a victim of time. You are a master of time. And the moment you stop fighting the delay is the moment the delay dissolves. This is the truth about the illusion. It only exists as long as you fear it. When you embrace the waiting as a necessary season of divine preparation, the wait loses its power to hurt you, and it becomes the very fuel that propels you into your destiny. This is the spiritual art of waiting. It is not about enduring a painful absence. It is about occupying a powerful presence. And once you master this presence, the gates open and the floodgates lift, and you will understand why it had to take exactly this long. Now that we have dismantled the illusion that delay is a form of denial, we must pivot to the most crucial question you can ask yourself during a season of silence. The question is not when will it arrive, but rather what is being built. We live in a world that is obsessed with speed, and we are addicted to the instantaneous. We want the result without the process, and the glory without the grind, and the victory without the battle. But the universe, in its infinite wisdom, does not operate on the timeline of your ego. It operates on the timeline of your destiny. And this brings us to the law of preparation, which can be best understood through a simple yet profound architectural metaphor. You have to decide right now what you are building with your life. Are you building a roadside shack, or are you building a cathedral? If you want to build a shack, you can do it very quickly. You can go out today and gather some cheap wood and some tin sheets and hammer them together, and by sunset, you will have a structure. It will offer you immediate shelter, and it will give you instant gratification, and you can tell everyone, look what I have built. But here is the catch. When the first strong wind blows, that shack will rattle. When the heavy rains come, the roof will leak. And when a true storm descends, that shack will be obliterated and scattered across the landscape as if it never existed. The shack represents the quick wins and the shortcuts and the shallow success that so many people are chasing. It is the relationship that starts fast and burns out faster. It is the money that comes easily and leaves destructively. It is the career that skyrockets before the character is fully formed, leading to an inevitable public collapse. Now contrast this with the construction of a cathedral. If you set out to build a cathedral, you must resign yourself to a very different timeline. For a long time, it will look like nothing is happening. In fact, it will look like things are getting worse because the first step in building a cathedral is not building up, it is digging down. You have to excavate the earth, and you have to move tons of dirt, and you have to create a massive hole in the ground. To the casual observer walking by, it looks like a disaster site. It looks like you are destroying the landscape. But the master architect knows the truth. The height of the building is determined by the depth of the foundation. You cannot put a 100-foot spire on a 2-inch slab of concrete. If you want to touch the sky, you must first grip the rock deep within the earth. This is exactly where many of you are right now. You are in the excavation phase. You feel like life is digging at you and scooping out parts of you and leaving you feeling hollowed out. You feel empty and you wonder why God has allowed this stripping away of your comfort. But I am here to tell you that this is not destruction. This is preparation. The universe is digging a foundation deep enough to support the blessing that is coming. You are asking for a love that is legendary, but you have the patience of a child, so life is digging out your impatience. You are asking for wealth that is generational, but you have the discipline of a spendthrift, so life is digging out your impulsiveness. You are asking for influence that shifts culture, but you have the insecurity of a people pleaser, so life is digging out your fear of man. The depth of your digging determines the height of your destiny. Do not despise the hole, because the hole is the container for the concrete foundation that will hold you up when the winds of life try to knock you down. We must understand that capacity is the prerequisite for receiving. You cannot pour the ocean into a thimble. If you try, you will not only waste the ocean, but you will likely break the thimble. The delay you are frustrated with is actually a mercy. It is the universe saying, "I love you too much to give this to you," before you can hold it. We have all seen what happens when people receive a blessing they are not prepared for. Look at the lottery winners who become bankrupt within 3 years. Look at the young stars who spiral into addiction because the pressure of the spotlight crushed a character that was not yet hardened by time. Speed without stability is a recipe for disaster. The universe is kind enough to protect you from receiving what you are not yet steady enough to hold. So when you are waiting, you are not just marking time. You are expanding your container. You are stretching your consciousness. Every time you choose faith over fear, you are laying another stone in your cathedral. Every time you choose integrity over a shortcut, you are reinforcing the walls. Every time you choose to forgive, instead of holding a grudge, you are installing the stained glass windows that will one day let the light shine through. This work is tedious, and it is often boring, and it is almost always invisible to the world. But this is where the real work is done. The roots of a great oak tree grow in the dark, and they grow in silence. They do not scream for attention, they just grow. And because they took the time to grow deep, when the hurricane comes, the oak tree bends, but it does not break. Meanwhile, the shallow grass that grew up overnight is ripped out by the roots. You are not grass. You are an oak. You are not a shack. You are a cathedral. This perspective shifts everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" you start saying, "Thank you for taking the time to build me right." You start to value the process of refinement. You realize that you are not just waiting for an external gift, you are becoming the person who attracts the gift. This is the law of resonance. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you want a high-quality life, you must become a high-quality person. And high quality takes time to manufacture. Think about a Rolls-Royce versus a cheap assembly line car. The cheap car is made in minutes by machines. The Rolls-Royce is built by hand over weeks. The leather is hand-stitched, and the engine is hand-tuned. Why? Because it is a masterpiece. You are a masterpiece of the divine design. Do not ask the Creator to treat you like a cheap assembly line production. Allow the master craftsman to take the time necessary to make you into something that will endure. There is also a profound safety in this preparation. When you build a cathedral, you are building something that provides sanctuary, not just for yourself, but for others. Your life is not just about you. Your success is not just for your own ego. When you finally step into your purpose, you will be carrying the weight of other people's hopes and other people's livelihoods and other people's inspiration. If you crack under pressure, they all fall with you. The universe is testing your structural integrity now, while the stakes are low, so that you do not collapse later when the stakes are high. The silent battles you are fighting today are training you for the public victories of tomorrow. The loneliness you feel now is teaching you how to stand alone, so that when you are a leader, you do not compromise your vision just to be liked. The financial tightness you feel now is teaching you stewardship, so that when the millions come, you do not squander them, but use them to bless the world. Every delay has a curriculum, and every frustration has a lesson plan. You must stop looking at the timeline of others to determine your own progress. This is the comparison trap we spoke of earlier, but here is why it is fatal to your construction. When you look at your neighbor and say they built their house in 6 months, why am I still digging the foundation after 2 years? You are failing to realize that they might be building a single-story ranch house, while you are building a beat skyscraper. You cannot compare the construction schedule of a sidewalk to the construction schedule of a bridge. They are designed for different loads and different purposes. If you rush your process to match theirs, you will end up with a structure that collapses under the weight of your own destiny. Stay in your lane. Stay on your own scaffolding. Focus on laying your own bricks with excellence. Let us be practical about what this preparation looks like. It looks like boredom. It looks like repetition. It looks like doing the right thing day after day when no one is clapping and no one is watching. It is the athlete waking up at 4 a.m. to train in the dark. It is the writer staring at a blank page for hours. It is the entrepreneur making the 100th call that gets rejected. This is the mortar that holds the bricks together. We want the applause, but we despise the rehearsal. We want the championship, but we despise the practice. But the cathedral is built in the practice. The cathedral is built in the quiet moments where you decide that you are going to keep going, not because you see the result, but because you trust the architect. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that we must prepare for the thing we have asked for, even before there is a sign of it. This is active preparation. If you are building a cathedral, you do not wait for the stained glass to arrive before you build the walls. You build the walls in anticipation of the glass. You must act as if the structure is already rising. You must organize your life as if the guest is already on the way. You must clean your house and clear your debts and sharpen your skills. If the blessing you are asking for walked through the door right now, would you be ready to receive it? If the answer is no, then thank the delay. Thank the silence for giving you the time to get ready. Because once the doors open, they often do not close. Once the momentum starts, it creates an avalanche of activity. You need to be rested, and you need to be rooted, and you need to be ready. So, I challenge you today to change your vocabulary regarding this season of your life. Stop calling it a waiting period. Call it a training camp. Call it a construction zone. Call it a divine setup. When you wake up tomorrow, do not look at the empty space and feel lack. Look at the empty space and see it as the blueprint for something magnificent. Visualize the cathedral rising from the dust. See the spires reaching for the clouds. Feel the solidity of the stone under your hands. Know that every prayer you have prayed is a brick that has been delivered to the job site. The materials are all there. The workers are all there. The architect is present. The construction is proceeding exactly according to the plan. Do not try to rush the drying of the cement. Let it set. Let it harden. Let it become unshakable. Because when this is done, you will not just have a moment of success. You will have a legacy. You will have a life that stands the test of time. You will have a dwelling place for the Most High. And you will look back at these days of digging and dust, and you will say, "Thank God I did not build a shack. Thank God I waited for the cathedral." This is the wisdom of the builder, and this is the promise of the law of preparation. Build deep so you can rise high. We have spoken about the illusion of delay, and we have spoken about the law of preparation, where we learned that you are building a cathedral and not a shack. Now we must address the primary tool used in this construction process. If the mind provides the blueprint, then the tongue provides the bricks and the mortar. This brings us to the most critical and dangerous phase of the waiting period, which we call the armed truce. This is not a time of relaxation, and it is not a time of passive observation. An armed truce is a state of extreme vigilance, where you stop fighting the external world and start policing your internal world. The battle for your manifestation is not fought in the marketplace or the office or on the internet. It is fought on the tip of your tongue. You must understand that your words are not merely sounds that you make to communicate facts. Your words are radio signals. They are decrees. They are electromagnetic vibrations that go out into the ether and organize energy into matter. Florence Scovel Shinn taught us that the game of life is a game of boomerangs, and that every word we speak returns to us sooner or later with astounding accuracy. If you are wondering why your life feels stuck, the answer is likely hiding in your daily conversation. The tragedy of the waiting season is that most people build with one hand and tear down with the other. This is the phenomenon of the double-minded man who is unstable in all his ways. You spend 20 minutes in the morning in deep prayer or meditation, visualizing your success and feeling the joy of it and affirming your faith. In those 20 minutes, you are sending a powerful signal to the universe to bring your good to you. You are laying a row of perfect bricks for your cathedral. But then you walk out the door and the phone rings, or you look at a bill, or you see a post on social media, and immediately your conversation shifts. You say things like, "I am so broke, I can't breathe," or "I guess it is just never going to happen for me," or "This is taking forever, and I am sick of it." With those casual, careless words, you have just taken a sledgehammer to the very bricks you laid this morning. You have canceled your own order. The universe is an impersonal listener. It does not judge your intent, it obeys your command. It does not distinguish between a prayer you meant and a complaint you vented. It simply hears the dominant frequency. If your prayer is 5 minutes of faith, but your day is 12 hours of doubt, your doubt is the dominant frequency, and that is what will manifest. We must realize that we are often in a state of spiritual negligence regarding our speech. We treat words like cheap confetti, throwing them around without realizing they are actually loaded guns. During the period of waiting, your environment will constantly tempt you to speak the language of lack. The senses will report emptiness. The eyes will report darkness. The logical mind will report impossibility. If you let your words be dictated by what you see, you are trapped in a loop. You see lack, so you speak lack, and because you speak lack, you create more lack, which you then see, and the cycle continues. The armed truce requires you to break this cycle by divorcing your vocabulary from your sensory evidence. You must stop reporting the news of your life and start making the news. You must stop acting like a thermometer, which only reflects the temperature of the room, and start acting like a thermostat, which sets the temperature of the room. When the room of your life is cold and barren, you do not say it is freezing in here. You say, "I am turning up the heat." You speak the warmth into existence before you feel it. This is difficult work because it requires you to override your human nature. The human ego loves to complain. It loves to gather sympathy. It loves to tell the story of the victim. When you are waiting, it feels good in a twisted way to call a friend and list all the injustices and all the delays and all the reasons why it is unfair. It releases tension momentarily, but that temporary relief comes at a massive cost. It costs you your future. Every time you tell the sad story of your waiting, you anchor yourself to it. You make the cement harden around your feet. You are literally speaking yourself into a corner. You must make a decision today that your dream is more important than your need to vent. If you have to choose between the satisfaction of complaining and the satisfaction of receiving, you must choose receiving. This means you might have to become quieter. You might have to withdraw from conversations that revolve around negativity. If you cannot speak faith, it is better to say nothing at all. Silence is golden, not just because it is peaceful, but because it prevents you from speaking against your own destiny. Let us look at the mechanics of this armed truce. Why do we call it armed? Because you must stand guard at the portal of your mind like a soldier. A thought comes in and says this is never going to work. You must catch that thought before it becomes a spoken word. You have a split second of free will between the thought and the word. In that split second, you have the power to arrest the thought and neutralize it. You say to that thought, "You are a liar. You do not belong in my cathedral. I cast you out." And then you deliberately replace it with a word of truth. This is spiritual warfare. It is not fighting demons, it is fighting the inertia of your old habits. The universe is listening to your internal dialogue just as much as your external dialogue. The things you mutter under your breath while you are washing the dishes are prayers. The sarcastic comments you make when you see someone else succeed are prayers. The heavy sighs of resignation you release when you get into bed are prayers. You are praying ceaselessly, but you are praying for the things you do not want. Consider the immense power of the phrase "I am." Whatever follows these two words is a command that shapes your reality. When you say, "I am tired of waiting," you are commanding fatigue, and you are commanding more waiting. When you say, "I am sick of this," you are inviting dis-ease into your body and your circumstances. You are defining your identity by your temporary struggle. In the armed truce, you must become ruthless with your "I am" statements. You never use "I am" to join yourself to something you do not want to experience. Even if you feel tired, you do not claim it as your identity. You say, "I am resting while the universe works." Even if you are broke, you do not say, I am poor. You say, I am currently clearing the way for abundance. This is not lying. This is selecting a higher truth. The truth is, you are a divine being having a temporary human experience. Your poverty is a temporary condition, not a permanent definition. Do not give permanent names to temporary situations. When you name something, you claim it. Do not claim the delay as yours. It is just passing through. There is a subtle trap in the way we speak about time that keeps us waiting. We often say things like, one day I will be happy, or I am going to be successful, or it is coming. While these sound positive, they are actually pushing your good into the future. They are keeping the carrot dangling on the stick, just out of reach. The subconscious mind takes you literally. If you say, I will be happy, it says, okay, we will schedule that for the future, but not now. The language of manifestation is the language of the present tense. It is the language of now. You must shift your words from prediction to possession. Instead of saying, I will be healed, say, I am healing. Instead of saying, I will be rich, say, I am receiving. Instead of saying, I hope it comes, say, it is here. You have to walk around your house and speak to the invisible as if it were visible. You have to thank the universe for the check that has not arrived in the mail yet. You have to set the table for the guest who has not knocked yet. This creates a vacuum in the atmosphere that the universe is compelled to fill. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you create a space of expectancy with your words, the substance must rush in to fill it. We also need to talk about the toxic positivity that some people mistake for faith. Watching your words does not mean you suppress your emotions or pretend that everything is perfect when you are in pain. You can acknowledge the difficulty without submitting to it. There is a difference between saying, I am devastated and I will never recover, versus saying this is a painful moment, but I am passing through it to something greater. The first statement creates a tomb. The second statement creates a tunnel. You want a tunnel, not a tomb. You can be honest about your feelings without being destructive with your predictions. You can say this is hard, but I am harder. You can say I do not see the way yet, but I know the way maker. This keeps the energy moving. It keeps the door open. The moment you make a definitive negative statement like this is impossible, you slam the door in the face of God. You leave no room for the miracle to enter. Your words must always leave a crack in the door. They must always leave room for the unexpected solution. The armed truce is also about protecting your vision from the doubts of others. One of the quickest ways to kill a manifestation is to talk about it to people who do not understand the spiritual laws. When you share your big dream with small minds, they will give you logical reasons why it cannot happen. They will remind you of the economy and your age and your lack of experience. And because you are in the waiting period and you are already vulnerable, their words will stick to you like Velcro. They will infect your subconscious. Florence Scovel Shinn advised us to keep our secret desires secret from the world until they have hardened into reality. Do not scatter your power by talking too much. Every time you talk about your plans, you leak energy. Keep the energy contained. Let it build up pressure inside you until it explodes into manifestation. Discuss your dreams only with those who are spiritual allies who will hold the vision with you. If you do not have such people, then discuss your dreams only with God. The silence is a protective container. It keeps the heat inside the oven so the bread can rise. If you keep opening the oven door to show people the dough, the heat escapes and the bread collapses. Keep the door shut. Finally, remember that your words change your biology. When you speak words of panic and impatience, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline. Your nervous system goes into fight or flight. You constrict. You block the flow of intuition. You cannot hear the guidance of the still small voice when you are screaming internally. But when you speak words of calm and trust and certainty, even if you are faking it at first, your body begins to relax. Your parasympathetic nervous system engages. You expand, and in that state of expansion, you become magnetic. You are no longer repelling your good with the energy of desperation. You are attracting it with the energy of readiness. So the armed truce is not just about magic words, it is about biological regulation. You are using your voice to calm your animal instincts so that your spiritual instincts can take over. You are telling your body that it is safe to receive. You are telling your heart that the war is over. So here is your assignment for the armed truce. You are to become a sniper of negative thoughts. You are to become a guardian of the threshold. For the next 24 hours, try to catch every single complaint before it leaves your lips. Turn every statement of lack into a statement of gratitude or expectation. If you catch yourself saying, "I don't know how to do this," stop and correct it to, "I am being guided to the right knowledge." If you catch yourself saying, "I am so lonely," stop and correct it to, "I am making space for the right connection." It will feel mechanical at first. It will feel like work. That is why we call it a truce. You are holding the line. But eventually this new language will become your native tongue. And when that happens, you will notice that the wait is over. Because the moment your internal conversation matches your external desire, the two must merge. The gap closes. The time collapses. And the word becomes flesh and dwells among you. This is the power you hold in your mouth. Use it to build. Do not use it to destroy. Stand your ground. Watch your words. And watch your world change. We arrive now at the spiritual paradox that sits at the very center of the waiting experience. We have discussed the illusion of time and the necessity of preparation and the discipline of our speech. But there is one final barrier that stands between you and your manifestation. And it is often the most difficult one to remove because it feels like protection. That barrier is your own effort. It is your own tension. It is the white-knuckled grip you have on the outcome because you are terrified that if you let go for even a second, the whole dream will shatter. This brings us to the law of non-resistance. This is the law that says you cannot force a miracle. You can only allow it, and the harder you push against the delay, the harder the delay pushes back against you. Resistance is a state of internal friction. It is the energy of fighting reality. When you wake up and realize your desire has not manifested yet, your immediate reaction is likely a tightening of the chest and a racing of the mind and a feeling of desperate urgency. You start thinking, "I have to do something, I have to fix this, I have to make this happen." That energy of "have to" is the energy of resistance. It screams to the universe that you do not trust the process. It implies that you believe God has fallen asleep at the wheel, and you need to reach over and steer the car yourself. But you cannot steer the universe. You can barely steer your own emotions. When you try to force a spiritual outcome with mental force, you are like a man trying to push a river upstream. You not only fail, but you exhaust yourself in the process. And this exhaustion is what leads to the soul tiredness we spoke of at the beginning. You are not tired because of the weight. You are tired because of the wrestle. The law of non-resistance teaches us that what you resist persists. If you are constantly thinking about your debt and fighting your debt and hating your debt, you are giving your debt all of your attention. You are feeding it with your emotional energy. You are making it the most important thing in your life. And because the subconscious mind manifests what it focuses on, your resistance to the debt actually anchors the debt in your reality. To eliminate a condition, you must first cease to fight it. You must withdraw your attention from the problem and place it entirely on the solution. This is not denial. It is a shift in authority. You look at the lack and you say, "I see you, but I am not moved by you. I am not afraid of you. I am walking past you." When you stop fighting the shadow disappears because a shadow has no substance of its own. It only exists because you are blocking the light. Most of us treat our desires like a hostage situation. We cling to them so tightly that we strangle the very life out of them. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you hold your hand open and flat, the sand sits there comfortably. But if you squeeze your fist tight to make sure you do not lose any sand, the sand slips through your fingers and you are left with nothing. This is what anxiety does to your manifestation. It squeezes it out of your life. Non-resistance is the art of the open hand. It is the stance that says, I desire this, and I welcome this, but I do not need to strangle it to keep it. The open hand signals to the universe that you are ready to receive. The closed fist signals that you are afraid to lose. And fear is always a barrier to flow. The practical application of this law involves what we call casting the burden. A burden is anything that feels too heavy for your human personality to carry. The worry about how the money will come is a burden. The fear that you are running out of time is a burden. The anxiety about making the wrong decision is a burden. You were never meant to carry these loads. Your conscious mind is the architect, but it is not the heavy lifter. The superconscious mind, or the God self within, is the heavy lifter. When you try to figure out the how and the when, you are trying to do the job of the superconscious. You are carrying luggage that does not belong to you. Casting the burden is a deliberate spiritual act where you symbolically and emotionally hand the problem over to the higher power. You say to the infinite intelligence, this situation is too big for me. I cannot see the way out. So I am giving it to you. You handle the logistics. I will handle the faith. When you truly cast the burden, you feel a physical shift. The tension leaves your shoulders. Your breathing deepens. It is like checking your heavy bags at the airport. You do not walk onto the plane carrying 100 pounds of luggage on your back. You give it to the system, and you walk to your seat light and free. You trust that the system will get your bags to the destination. You do not run down to the cargo hold every 5 minutes to check if they are still there. You sit down and you enjoy the flight. Non-resistance is enjoying the flight of your life while the universe handles the cargo of your destiny. If you are still worrying, you have not cast the burden. You might have set it down for a second, but you picked it back up. You must learn to leave it on the altar. This brings us to the concept of standing still. There is a profound instruction that appears in ancient scriptures which says, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." Standing still is the hardest thing for a human to do because our ego equates movement with progress. We think if we are running around and stressing out and making phone calls, we are making progress. But often, we are just making noise. Spiritual activity is often physical stillness. When you have done all you can do, you must stand. To stand means to hold your ground without wavering. It means to maintain your position of authority without retreating into fear. It is a state of poised expectancy. It is not the stillness of sleep. It is the stillness of a violin string that is pulled tight and ready to be played. It is a vibrant, alert readiness. When you stand still, you stop creating turbulence. And when the water of your mind is calm, it can reflect the image of your desire perfectly. Many of you are afraid that if you stop worrying, things will fall apart. You believe that your anxiety is the glue holding your life together. This is the great lie of the ego. Your anxiety is not the glue, it is the solvent. It dissolves the divine design. Relaxation is the true glue. When you relax, you align with the natural rhythm of the universe. The sun does not strain to rise. The flowers do not struggle to bloom. The earth does not fight to spin. Everything in nature works through the law of least effort. Why do you think you are the exception? Why do you think your life requires struggle to work? When you stop resisting the flow of life, you allow the current of providence to carry you. This current is always moving towards your highest good. But you have been swimming upstream fighting the current, thinking you know better. Stop swimming. Float. Let the current take you. It knows the way to the ocean better than you do. There is a magical element to non-resistance that often manifests as suddenness. You will notice this pattern in your life. You struggle with a problem for months. You worry about it. You lose sleep over it. And finally, you reach a breaking point where you say, I am done. I do not care anymore. Whatever happens, happens. You throw your hands up and you truly let go. And then miraculously, within 24 hours, the solution appears. The phone rings. The money shows up. The person apologizes. Why? Did the universe just decide to wait until you gave up? No. The solution was there the whole time, pushing against your door. But your resistance was holding the door shut from the inside. Your worry was the lock. Your fear was the deadbolt. The moment you gave up, you actually gave over. You stopped pushing against the door and you stepped back. And because the solution was pushing from the other side, the door swung open instantly. This is why we say that man's extremity is God's opportunity. When you run out of your own strength, you finally make room for divine strength. But you do not have to wait until you are broken to let go. You can choose to let go right now. You can choose non-resistance as a strategy rather than a last resort. You can look at your waiting season and say, I refuse to suffer through this. I choose to be happy while I wait. I choose to live my life fully right now. This is the ultimate act of faith. To sing while you are in the prison cell. To dance while you are in the desert. When you do this, you confuse the enemy, which is your own doubt. Doubt cannot survive in an atmosphere of joy. If you are happy without the manifestation, you have mastered the lesson. You have proven that your happiness is not dependent on external conditions. And paradoxically, the moment you no longer need it to be happy is the moment it rushes to you. Neediness repels, wholeness attracts. Non-resistance also means engaging with the present moment. While you are waiting for the big thing, do not neglect the small things. Do not let your life fall into disrepair because you are staring at the horizon. Wash the dishes with love. Walk the dog with presence. Talk to your family with kindness. When you resist the present moment because you want to be in the future, you fracture your energy. Power is always in the now. If you are not in the now, you have no power. By fully accepting and inhabiting where you are right now, you create a stable platform for the future to land on. You cannot build the second floor of the house if you despise the first floor. You must love the level you are on. You must find the blessing in the hallway. When you stop fighting your current reality, you gain the power to transform it. Let us address the fear that non-resistance means becoming a doormat. People think if I don't fight, I will be walked all over. This is a misunderstanding. Non-resistance is mental and emotional. It does not mean you do not take action. It means you take right action. Action born of fear is frantic and ineffective. Action born of peace is precise and powerful. When you are calm, you see opportunities you would miss if you were panicked. You speak with an authority that commands respect rather than a desperation that invites pity. You can set boundaries without being angry. You can say no without being defensive. This is the strength of water. Water is the most non-resistant element on earth. It flows around obstacles. It changes shape to fit the container. And yet, given enough time, water cuts through rock. Your non-resistance is your water power. It is soft, but it is unstoppable. So today, I invite you to drop the battle. Drop the argument you are having in your head with life. Stop rehearsing the tragedy. Stop keeping score of the delays. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, I surrender the timeline. I surrender the method. I trust the outcome. Feel the weight falling off your back. It makes a thud as it hits the floor. Leave it there. Walk away from it. You are now free to move faster. You are free to be surprised. The universe loves to surprise those who trust it. When you take your hands off the steering wheel, you allow the divine chauffeur to drive. And he knows a shortcut that is not on your map. He knows a way through the wilderness that you cannot see. Your only job is to sit still, to keep your faith high, and to let the glory of the Lord be revealed. This is the path of peace, and it is the only path that leads to the palace of your dreams. Stop fighting. Start receiving. The war is over. You have won by surrendering. We have now reached the part of the journey where the silence of waiting becomes deafening, not because of what is happening in your life, but because of what is happening in everyone else's life. This is the moment when you look to your left and you look to your right, and it seems like the entire world is moving forward except for you. You see a friend getting the promotion you worked for. You see a family member buying the house you dreamed of. You see people on social media getting engaged and launching businesses and traveling the world while you are still sitting in the same room with the same prayers and the same unanswered questions. This is the comparison trap. And let me tell you, it is the deadliest trap in the spiritual walk because it does not just steal your joy, it steals your momentum. It acts like a puncture in the tire of your soul. You cannot drive forward to your destiny if you are constantly looking sideways at someone else's lane. The pain of comparison comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe operates. When you feel envy or frustration at another person's success, it is because you have secretly bought into the lie of limitation. You believe that there is a limited amount of good in the world, like a single pie on a table. You think that if someone else takes a big slice, there is less left for you. You think that if someone else gets the job, the opportunity is gone. You think that if someone else finds love, the pool of partners has shrunk. But this is poverty thinking dressed up as observation. The spiritual truth is that the supply of the universe is infinite. There is no shortage of good. One person's success does not take away from yours, any more than one person breathing deeply takes away the oxygen from the room. The ocean does not run out of water because a fish swims in it. When you understand that the source of your supply is not the world but the infinite creative power within you, then you realize that what belongs to you cannot be taken by anyone else. Comparison is also a lie because it is based on incomplete information. You are comparing your behind-the-scenes reality with someone else's highlight reel. You know your own struggles. You know your sleepless nights. You know your doubts and your fears. But when you look at others, you only see the victory lap. You do not see the years of discipline they put in. You do not see the failures they endured. You do not see the private battles they are fighting right now, even amidst their success. You are judging a book by its cover while you are stuck reading the difficult chapter of your own book. It is an unfair trial. You are sentencing yourself to inadequacy based on evidence that is not even real. If you knew the full story of the people you envy, you would likely not want to trade places with them. You would realize that their path has its own burdens, just as your path has its own blessings. Let us go deeper into the concept of the specific path. You have a divine design. This means there is a blueprint for your life that is as unique as your fingerprint. There has never been another you in the history of the universe, and there never will be again. Therefore, your timeline cannot look like anyone else's. To compare your timeline to another person is like an apple tree comparing itself to a bamboo plant. The apple tree bears fruit in a few years. The bamboo plant sits underground for 5 years building a root system before shooting up 90 feet in 6 weeks. If the bamboo farmer dug up the seed in year 3 because he saw the apple tree engaging in fruit production, he would kill the bamboo. You might be a bamboo person living in an apple orchard. You feel like a failure because you do not have fruit yet, but you are actually preparing for a vertical growth that will surpass everything around you. You must honor your own biology and your own theology. You are not late. You are not behind. You are simply in your own time zone. The universe is an impeccable timekeeper. It coordinates the movement of galaxies and the rotation of planets with mathematical precision. Do you really think that the same intelligence that keeps the stars from colliding has forgotten about your schedule? The timing of your life is orchestrated to the second. There are meetings that need to happen. There are skills you need to acquire. There are people who need to move into position. If you were to receive your manifestation one day earlier than the divine schedule, it might miss the connection. It might arrive before you are mature enough to keep it. It might arrive before the necessary infrastructure is in place to support it. Delays are not denials, they are often acts of divine protection. The universe is holding the door shut because there is a storm outside that you cannot see. When the storm passes, the door will open. Trust the timing, even when you cannot see the clock. There is a powerful spiritual perspective shift that happens when you stop seeing others as competitors and start seeing them as evidence. This is the cure for envy. When you see someone manifesting the very thing you want, do not let your heart sink. Let your heart soar. Because this is a sign that the frequency of that reality is getting close to you. Think of it like a radio signal. If you are driving and you start to hear static and then faint music, you know you are getting closer to the broadcast tower. When you see abundance popping up all around you in your friends and your colleagues, it means you are in the vicinity of abundance. You are in the neighborhood of your miracle. It is not happening to them instead of you. It is happening around you because it is about to happen for you. The universe is showing you a preview of coming attractions. If you get angry at the preview, you disconnect yourself from the movie. But if you celebrate the preview, you buy your ticket. So, how do you practice this practically? You must learn to bless what you want. When you see someone with the car you want, say, bless that car and bless that driver. When you see the happy couple, say, bless that love and bless their union. There is an occult law that says you can never possess what you criticize. If you criticize wealth, you will push it away. If you resent happy people, you will repel happiness. But what you bless, you attract. Blessing acts like a magnet. It tells the subconscious mind that you approve of this reality, that you are in harmony with it, and that you are ready for it. Every time you feel that twinge of jealousy, recognize it as a signal to bless. Use the jealousy as a trigger for generosity. Say, thank you, God, for showing me that this is possible. If they can do it, so can I. This shifts your energy from contraction to expansion. It opens the floodgates. We must also talk about the queue mentality. We often feel like life is a single line at a grocery store, and if someone cuts in front of us, we have to wait longer. But life is not a single line. Life is a giant highway with infinite lanes. Someone else speeding up in their lane does not slow you down in yours. Their success does not take money out of your pocket. Their promotion does not steal your title. In fact, often, their success creates a wake of opportunity that pulls you forward. When one person breaks a 4-minute mile, suddenly everyone breaks it. One person's breakthrough shatters the glass ceiling for everyone else. Your friend's winning is actually good for you. It elevates the standard of your circle. It proves that winning is possible. You should want to be surrounded by people who are winning because success is contagious. If you are the only successful person in your circle, you are in the wrong circle. So stop wishing they would fail so you can feel better. Start wishing they would succeed so you can rise together. Let us address the fear of missing the boat. This is a phrase that haunts many people. I missed my chance. I am too old. The window has closed. I should have started 5 years ago. This is the voice of the ego trying to create regret. In the spiritual realm, there is no such thing as a missed boat. If you missed the boat, it was not your boat. Your boat is coming. Or perhaps you are meant to build a plane. The divine design does not expire. As long as you have breath in your lungs, there is a plan for your life. You cannot age out of your destiny. You cannot fail out of your destiny. You can only delay it by refusing to believe in it. Moses began his mission at 80. Colonel Sanders began his franchise at 65. History is full of people who bloomed late according to human standards, but right on time according to divine standards. Do not let the calendar dictate your possibility. The calendar is a tool for scheduling meetings, not for measuring potential. Your soul is timeless. Your power is timeless. And your opportunity is renewed every single morning. Consider the racer who looks sideways. When an Olympic sprinter is running their race, they are trained to look straight ahead at the finish line. The moment they turn their head to see where the other runner is, they lose a fraction of a second. They break their aerodynamic flow. They lose their focus. And that split second costs them the gold medal. You are doing this with your life. Every time you look sideways to check on your neighbor's progress, you are slowing down your own. You are taking your eyes off your own vision. You are dissipating your energy. Stay in your lane. Keep your eyes on your own prize. What God has for you is in front of you, not to the side of you. The more you focus on your own path, the faster you will move. The more you focus on others, the more you will stumble. Your journey requires your full, undivided attention. There is a peace that comes when you finally accept that you are exactly where you are meant to be. This does not mean you are complacent. It means you are congruent. You accept that your current location is the perfect starting point for your next destination. You stop fighting the coordinates of your life. You stop wishing you were someone else somewhere else with something else. You inhabit your own life fully. And when you do that, you become powerful. You stop leaking energy into envy, and you start channeling energy into creation. You realize that your unique combination of experiences and delays and struggles has created a version of you that is capable of doing something no one else can do. Your waiting has given you empathy. Your struggle has given you resilience. Your darkness has taught you how to appreciate the light. These are assets, not liabilities. You are not damaged goods, you are seasoned goods. So today I challenge you to resign as the judge of the universe. Stop judging who deserves what and when. Stop judging yourself for not being further ahead. Hand the gavel back to the higher power. Your job is not to judge the timing. Your job is to trust the timer. Your job is to keep walking. Your job is to keep building your cathedral even when the lot next door is already finished. Because when your cathedral is done, it will be exactly what it needed to be, and it will be magnificent, and you will look back at the timeline and see that there were no mistakes. You will see that every delay was a detail. You will see that every pause was a purpose. And you will be glad you did not trade your unique path for anyone else's generic success. You are a masterpiece in progress. Do not rush the artist, and do not envy the other paintings. Just let yourself be painted. We have journeyed through the philosophy of waiting, and we have dismantled the illusions that cause us pain, but philosophy alone does not build houses. We must now move from the realm of theory into the realm of action. This brings us to what I call practical alchemy. Alchemy is the ancient art of transmuting base metals into gold. In the spiritual sense, you are the alchemist, and the heavy leaden feeling of waiting is the base metal. You have the power to transmute this heavy waiting into the gold of manifestation, but you cannot do it by simply thinking about it. You must do something. You must move energy. The universe rewards motion, and it responds to specificity. So, I am going to give you 3 specific steps that you can take right now, today, to shift the gears of your life from neutral into drive. These are not empty rituals. They are physical commands to the subconscious mind. Step 1 is what I call the law of active preparation. You must prepare for the thing you have asked for, as if it is already on its way. This is the ultimate test of faith. Most people wait until they see the harvest before they build the barn. But the law says you must build the barn to attract the harvest. If you are asking for rain, you must dig the ditches first. If you dig the ditches, the clouds will form. If you do not dig the ditches, even if it rains, the water will simply run off and be wasted. You must ask yourself a very honest question. If my prayer was answered in the next 10 minutes, would I be ready to receive it? If you are asking for financial abundance, but your current finances are a chaotic mess, you are not ready. If your wallet is full of old receipts and crumpled bills, you are telling the universe that you do not respect money. One of the most powerful things you can do today is to clean out your wallet. Organize your bills. Face them the same way. Create a clean vessel for more to enter. This seems small, but the subconscious mind speaks the language of symbols. A clean, orderly wallet is a symbol of readiness. It says, I am a good manager of substance, therefore send me more substance. Consider the physical space in your home. We often say we want a relationship, but our homes are set up for a single person. There is no room in the closet. There is no nightstand on the other side of the bed. You are physically blocking the arrival of another person. There was a woman who desired a husband, but she lived in a tiny apartment filled with her own things. She realized she was not preparing for him. So she went out and bought a large, comfortable armchair, a man's chair. She put it in the corner of her living room. It took up space. It required her to move her own things around. But every time she looked at that empty chair, she did not see emptiness, she saw expectation. She brushed the chair. She kept it clean. She honored the space. And within a few months, a man appeared who fit perfectly not just in her life, but in that chair. You must create the vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum and will rush to fill it. Look at your life today. Where can you make space? If you want a new job, is your resume updated and sitting on your desktop ready to send, or will you have to scramble when the recruiter calls? If you want to travel, is your passport valid, or has it expired? Do not wait for the trip to renew the passport. Renew the passport to summon the trip. This is active faith. It is acting out the scene of reception before the curtain goes up. When you act as if the guest is already at the doorbell will ring. Step 2 involves the use of anchor statements. We spoke earlier about watching your words, but now we are going to go on the offensive. You need weapons to fight the sudden onset of doubt. When panic rises, you cannot rely on your logical mind, because your logical mind is the one panicking. You need a preloaded phrase that bypasses logic and goes straight to the spirit. These are anchor statements. They hold you steady when the emotional waves try to capsize your boat. I am going to give you 3 specific ancient algorithms of speech that have been used to shift reality. You must choose one and make it your mantra. The first option is for those needing supply and money. Repeat this: Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right reach me in great avalanches of abundance under grace in a miraculous way. Let us dissect this. We say avalanches because we want to break the trickle. We want overwhelming flow. We say under grace because we do not want to gain money through struggle or by hurting others or through dishonest means. We want it to come easily and purely. We say miraculous way because we want to step out of the limited channels of our salary or our current expectations. We are inviting the unexpected. When you speak this, you are giving the universe permission to surprise you. The second option is for those waiting on a specific outcome, like a job or a house or a resolution. Repeat this: I stand aside and let infinite intelligence lead the way. The tide has turned, and my ship is coming in over a calm sea. This statement is a surrender of the ego. I stand aside means I stop forcing my small will. I stop trying to manipulate people. I stop micromanaging. The tide has turned is a declaration of fact. Even if the water looks low, you are declaring that the energy has shifted. And over a calm sea is crucial. You are asking for this to arrive without drama. You do not want the ship to crash on the rocks. You want a smooth, peaceful arrival. Use this when you feel the urge to meddle or force things. It is a command to your own ego to sit down. The third option is for those dealing with deep fear and anxiety about the future. Repeat this: I am not waiting. I am being prepared. My good is built upon a rock and it cannot be shaken. This reframes the entire experience. You are taking the word waiting out of your dictionary. You are replacing it with preparation. And you are affirming stability. Built upon a rock means that what is coming to you is permanent. It is not a fleeting bit of luck. It is a solid destiny. When you say it cannot be shaken, you are telling your nervous system that no matter what the economy does or what the news says, your blessing is secure. It is locked in. Nothing can steal it. Say this when you wake up in the middle of the night with a racing heart. It acts as a sedative for the soul. Step 3 is the safety technique. This is the most physiological step. We often try to manifest from a state of fight or flight. When you are tired of waiting, your body is flooded with stress hormones. You are tight. Your breathing is shallow. You are vibrating at the frequency of predator is approaching. In this state, you literally cannot receive. You can only defend. You cannot catch a ball if your hands are busy fighting off an attacker. You must signal to your biological machinery that the war is over so that your hands can open to catch the blessing. The universe cannot deliver goods to a house that is on fire. You must put out the fire of your anxiety. This technique takes less than 60 seconds. I want you to do this whenever you feel the tightness in your chest. Stop what you are doing. Put your hand physically on the center of your chest over your heart area. This physical touch is vital because it releases oxytocin, the hormone of safety and connection. Feel the warmth of your hand on your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, and then say these words slowly to yourself. I am safe in the waiting. All is well. It is handled. Why does this work? Because safety is the frequency of reception. When you feel safe, you relax. When you relax, you become magnetic. Think of a clenched fist. It cannot receive anything. Now think of an open, relaxed hand. It can receive everything. By telling your body I am safe, you are manually unclenched the fist of your spirit. You are overriding the primal fear that says, if I don't get this, I will die. You are reminding yourself that you are supported by life itself. The phrase "it is handled" is particularly powerful. It implies that a higher power has already taken care of the details. It is like hiring the best lawyer in the world and knowing he is in the courtroom for you, so you can sit back and read a book. When you say "it is handled," you stop re-adjudicating the case in your mind. You release the need to figure it out. You need to integrate these 3 steps into a daily rhythm. This is your practical alchemy. When you wake up, do not reach for your phone, reach for your anchor statement. Speak it out loud before your feet hit the floor. Set the tone. Then, as you go through your day, look for one small act of active preparation. Clean one drawer. Send one email. Buy the one item that signifies readiness. And finally, whenever the shadow of doubt crosses your mind, use the safety technique. Place your hand on your heart and reset your nervous system. If you do these 3 things, you will stop feeling like a victim of time. You will feel like a co-creator with the divine. You will no longer be waiting for something to happen. You will be making something happen by the power of your alignment. Remember that alchemy is a process. You are turning the heavy lead of your impatience into the gold of your character. And gold is valuable because it is purified by fire. This waiting season is your fire. Do not run from it. Stand in it. Use these tools and watch how the base metal of your life begins to shine. You are not just getting the thing you want, you are becoming the person who commands it. This is the true magic. The manifestation is just the souvenir of your transformation. The real prize is the power you are developing right now. So clean your house. Speak your word. Calm your heart. The alchemist is ready. The gold is forming. And the great work is nearing completion.